Hello, folks. This is Maria Abreu from Abreu and Associates. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you like the content of the video, hit the like button and make sure to share. Okay, folks, here is an interesting question because most of the time people will ask about the fast track. People are going to, they ask about temporary residency, the citizenship, but very few times do people ever inquire about this visa. Okay, so let me just bring this up because we're addressing the questions that you have posted. And by the way, I want to thank you for doing that because your comments and questions serves as the basis for the content that we post. So that's great. So the question is, Maria, can you interpret more on a religious visa, for example, length of staying in country, qualifications, etc.? Now, there is no such thing as a religious visa per se. So what the state did, what the Dominican Republic did, is that it put the religious category in with the business category. So what do I mean by this? Religious volunteers, when we're at the application stage for the visa, we apply for a business visa, okay? An NM, Nancy Mary visa, okay? We apply for an NM visa, a business visa. This visa is valid for a year. However, I have to clarify that you cannot live in the country on this business visa, even though it's valid for a year. If you're coming in as a religious volunteer or a missionary, the idea is for you is once this visa is issued and you're in the country, you have to apply for a special category of residency. That residency is called an RT4, okay? Like a temporary visa is an RT9. A temporary visa for residency for a temporary worker is an RT3. So the residencies are coded to show the residency category that you have. So RT9 is an ordinary temporary residency, which most people get. You renew it every year until the 5th year when you could change your status to a permanent resident. Temporary workers under contract with companies get an RT3, okay, also valid for 1 year. Religious volunteers are assigned an RT4 residency. This residency is valid for 1 year, must be renewed. You do not receive a cedula when you're issued this category of residency. You are only issued a residency card. So when you're talking about ordinary residency, like temporary residency, the RT9, those residency card holders go to the Junta Central Electoral and they get a Dominican cedula, which is a state ID, which is what's frequently used. If you go anywhere, they're going to ask to see your cedula. But for religious volunteers and missionaries, they don't get a cedula. They only get that residency card with the RT4, okay, code on it. All right. So that becomes their ID. That's what they live here with. That's how they handle all of their transactions. Now, because they're religious volunteers and they're not considered ordinary residents, they're considered conditioned residents. What are we talking about? A conditioned residency is a residency that depends on a particular circumstance. A temporary worker is only a resident while he has his job, while he's under contract with that company, or while he's under contract with any company, because you could come in as a temporary worker for one company and then somewhere along the line, you no longer work for that company and you go under contract with another company. That's fine. But that residency depends upon a work contract. The religious volunteer also depends upon the service that they are performing under the religious organization that is either registered or recognized here in the country. So those who have residency as religious volunteers can never change status to permanent residency, such as the case with the RT9 card holders. So every year you just renew your residency card, okay? Now, what are the qualifications? First of all, you have to be working under the auspices of a registered religious entity. So if it's a little church that would just found it in some municipality, that's not going to get it, guys. It has to be a religious organization, duly registered or properly registered in the Dominican state, by the Dominican state, okay? And there's usually paperwork that immigration will request, like the presidential decree, granting them status as a nonprofit religious organization, the documents of organization, several documents that you have to provide to show, that they're properly registered and recognized by the state as a religious order. And then this religious organization has to issue a letter of invitation. This letter is going to talk about the work that you're going to do and how your expenses will be covered while you're in the country. Now, either you're an independent missionary receiving funds from, a parent organization overseas, or they provide a stipend. Whatever case it is, the letter has to specify, that you're working in association with them, you're here by invitation, the work that you will do, and how you will cover your expenses while you're here. Okay, so besides the rest of the documentation that goes with the residency process, such as birth certificates, police clearances, and so on and so forth, you need that letter of invitation, and immigration will also request paperwork showing that, this organization is duly registered and recognized. Now, with the bigger religions, like, they're very large religious organizations, they may not require the paperwork because everybody knows who they are. Example, the Catholic Church. So there's paperwork you won't need to provide, but they will need to provide a letter recognizing that you are one of their missionaries, okay? It's a little bit involved. So if you didn't understand the information as exposed here, as explained here in the video, please feel free to contact us and we will walk you through it. We deal with a lot of religious volunteers as well. Countries like the Dominican Republic that, are developing attract a lot of missionaries, particularly from the States, from Canada. And so we deal with quite a few of those processes. So we're quite used to it. But if you need any further information or clarification, then please feel free to contact us at the email or numbers listed below.